Live, local, late breaking. This is WBAL TV 11 News at 5.
He had the woman by the head and had the gun at her head.
2 people dead, a Baltimore City police officer in the hospital. What witnesses say sparked the deadly shooting inside a methadone clinic.
And as those gunshots rang out, he put his life on the line to rescue his supervisor. The young officer, Baltimore Police say, is nothing short of a hero.
Good evening to you. I'm Andre Hepkins.
And I'm Ashley Henson. We want to start with tonight with a story we've been following all day today. And tonight, a Baltimore police officer is in shock trauma, and 2 others are dead after a shooting inside that methadone clinic. One of those killed was the suspected gunman.
And we have live team coverage from the scene and shock trauma. We start with I-Team lead investigative reporter Jane Miller, who's live at the scene with the latest on the investigation. Jane.
Andre, this happened at a very busy time for the Man Alive drug treatment clinic. It's right there at 2117 Maryland Avenue. You see it with the tan awning. It is the time of the day when patients come to get their daily medication, but this day, someone showed up with a gun and used it. The call for help was for a man with a gun inside the Man Alive drug treatment clinic in the 2100 block of Maryland Avenue. When police arrived, Commissioner Michael Harrison said they were told the man had already fired.
When we arrived, this was actually treated as an active shooter scenario because we were informed when our officers got there that there was a suspect in there who had fired a gun at least 2 times.
All of a sudden, we heard this bang noise.
Pippi Scott was in the clinic speaking with her counselor when the gunman arrived.
He had the woman by the head and had the gun at her head. You hear me? And everybody was afraid.
Who was the woman?
She was a nurse.
A nurse at the clinic. A gun held to her head.
Yes. And he said, don't play with me because I'm not for it, like that. So that let everybody know he was serious.
Police Sergeant William Shiflett encountered the gunman.
The officers attempted to de-escalate the situation many times. However, the suspect began firing at them. As the suspect fired upon our officer, he returned gunfire, but was struck by the suspect's rounds.
Shiflett was wounded. The suspect died. Later, police found another man in the clinic who'd also been fatally shot. Motive unclear. The gunman apparently was known to the clinic.
Preliminary indications is that he went in to get methadone and had to be buzzed in because it's a secure door and was allowed entry. And at that point, he began to escalate. And from there, we received the call of an armed suspect.
Detectives today from the Baltimore Police Department spent a lot of time in the building about a block away. That's that high-rise apartment building. Residents here tell us that's where the suspected shooter lives. They've spent a lot of time in that building interviewing people that live in the building who may know the man and also trying to gather evidence. Reporting live from Midtown Baltimore, I'm Jane Miller, WBAL TV 11 News. Now we're going to go to Kim Dacey at Shock Trauma for more on Sergeant Shiflett. Kim?
Well, Jane, Sergeant Shiflett is in stable condition here in the ICU at Shock Trauma. Police say he could have been more seriously injured, even killed, if not for the actions of another officer.
This was a dangerous situation that could have been far worse for our officers.
One officer down. Sergeant Bill Shiflett shot inside a methadone clinic in North Baltimore. A young officer, Christopher Miller, sprang into action.
I also like to really acknowledge a young officer in our department who pulled the sergeant to safety out of gunfire and put his own life in danger to rescue his supervisor and pull him to safety after he was shot.
Sergeant Shiflett was rushed to Shock Trauma with a gunshot to his lower abdomen below his bulletproof vest.
The officer arrived. He was awake, he was talking, he was complaining of abdominal pain. His vital signs were normal. His exam was suggestive that he needed an urgent operation, and he was taken to the operating room by the trauma attending.
Doctors say the surgery went well and he's recovering in the ICU. Sergeant Shiflett is a 25-year veteran of the Baltimore Police Force.
The majority of his career has been in our aviation unit as an observer, so he's very tactically sound.
Police say he was working as a patrol rifleman Monday when he was called to the methadone clinic for the report of a shooting. Shiflett has a wife and 2 daughters and extended family who are by his side at the hospital.
I've had the opportunity to meet with the officer's family, his wife, his children, his sister and brother, and they are doing well. And at this moment, we want to make sure that our thoughts and our prayers are with our officer for a speedy recovery.
Doctors aren't sure exactly how long Sergeant Shiflett will be here recovering at the hospital. Reporting live at Shock Trauma, Kim Dacey, WBAL TV 11 News.
Many thanks to both Kim and Jane, and follow updates in the WBAL TV app. You can watch the commissioner's entire news conference and turn on push alerts for late-breaking developments. All right, a neighborhood and police department rattled after a man opened fire inside of a North Baltimore Methadone clinic. What we're learning about that deadly shooting, plus.
And we continue to follow developing news from a deadly shooting inside a North Baltimore Methadone clinic, and that shooting injured a city police officer. Police say the suspect and another man inside the clinic both died in the shooting.
But police say the officer who was hit by gunfire is in stable condition at the hospital. Tonight, police credit the actions of Officer Christopher Miller to the left for saving Sergeant Bill Shiflett's life. He's on the right. Let's go out to 11 News I-Team lead investigative reporter Jane Miller, who has the very latest on the police investigation. Jane.
Andre, investigators spent nearly the entire day here in the 2100 block of Maryland Avenue collecting evidence. In fact, they just reopened the street about 4:30. That was a day-long closure of this street so they could collect evidence and interview people. It was just after 7 a.m. this morning when police got the call for an armed person inside the Man Alive drug treatment clinic. By the time they got here, they were told that the gunman had already fired 2 times. Sergeant Shiflett, William Shiflett, encountered him.
The officers attempted to de-escalate the situation many times. However, the suspect began firing at them. As the suspect fired upon our officer, he returned gunfire, but was struck by the suspect's rounds.
Sergeant Shiflett was taken to shock trauma. He went into surgery. What we're told is he is in stable condition. The gunman has not been identified, nor has the other individual who was found in the clinic with fatal gunshot wounds. That man was found in another part of the clinic. Commissioner Harrison indicated that that man was killed by the gunman, not by police. Harrison says the police only fired at the suspected gunman. Reporting live from Midtown Baltimore, I'm Jane Miller, WBAL TV 11 News.
Jane, great to hear that Sergeant Shiflett is doing better. Thank you.
I'm Jane Miller, live in Midtown Baltimore. A shooting inside a methadone clinic. A Baltimore police sergeant wounded, 2 people dead, including the suspect. Team coverage next.
Live, local, late breaking. This is WBAL TV 11 News at 6.
We heard this bang noise. I didn't know if it was a gun.
2 people dead and a police officer shot inside of a methadone clinic.
That this was a dangerous situation that could have been far worse.
Tonight, 2 officers are recognized for their courage, bravery, and professionalism.
Good evening to you. I'm Andre Hepkins.
And I'm Deborah Weiner. 2 people are dead and a Baltimore police officer is at shock trauma. It is the result of a shooting this morning inside a Baltimore Methadone clinic.
Yeah, the suspected gunman and another man in the clinic were killed. And our live team coverage begins with I-Team lead investigative reporter Jane Miller, live where the shooting happened this morning. Jane.
Andre, the gunman was buzzed into the Man Alive drug treatment clinic. It's behind me, just up Maryland Avenue a little bit there with the tan awning outside of it. The street just opened a little bit ago, about 4:30. It was closed all day long, so investigators could interview people, collect evidence. The gunman, as I said, was buzzed into the clinic, which suggests the clinic staff knew him, but on this day, he allegedly brought a gun with him and used it. The shooting at the Man Alive drug treatment clinic happened just after 7 a.m.
All of a sudden, we heard this bang noise.
Pippi Scott was in the clinic speaking with her counselor when the gunman arrived.
He had the woman by the head and had the gun at her head. You hear me? And everybody was afraid.
Who was the woman?
She was a nurse.
A nurse at the clinic. A gun held to her head.
Yes. And he said, don't play with me because I'm not for it, like that. So that let everybody know he was serious.
Police Commissioner Michael Harrison said police were told when they arrived the gunman had already fired 2 times. BPD Sergeant William Shiflett encountered the gunman.
The officers attempted to de-escalate the situation many times. However, the suspect began firing at them. As the suspect fired upon our officer, he returned gunfire, but was struck by the suspect's rounds.
The sergeant was pulled to safety and taken to shock trauma. The gunman was shot and killed. Later, another man suffering fatal gunshot wounds was found in the clinic. He had been shot, apparently, Harrison said, by the gunman.
We only fired at one suspect.
Harrison said the exchange of gunfire between the sergeant and suspect was recorded by police body-worn cameras. The suspected gunman, residents tell us, lived just a block away. That apartment building behind me on West 21st Street. Detectives have been in that building twice today, again, gathering evidence. Now to shock trauma and Kim Dacey on the condition of Sergeant Shiflett. Kim?
Jane, Sergeant Shiflett is listed in stable condition here in the ICU at shock trauma. Police are crediting another officer with saving his life.
Sergeant Bill Shiflett shot in the line of duty Monday, responding to an active shooter at a methadone clinic in North Baltimore. He was rushed to shock trauma with a gunshot to the lower abdomen.
The officer arrived. He was awake. He was talking. He was complaining of abdominal pain. His vital signs were normal. His exam was suggestive that he needed an urgent operation, and he was taken to the operating room by the trauma attending.
Doctors say he's now recovering in the ICU. Sergeant Shiflett is a 25-year veteran of the police force. He was working as a patrol rifleman when the call came in Monday morning, but has a lot of experience in other areas of law enforcement.
The majority of his career has been in our aviation unit as an observer. So he's very tactically sound.
Shiflett has a wife and 2 daughters, as well as extended family who are by his side at the hospital.
I've had the opportunity to meet with the officer's family, his wife, his children, his sister and brother, and they are doing well. And at this moment, we want to make sure that our thoughts and our prayers are with our officer for a speedy recovery.
Police say Shiflett's situation could be grim if not for a fellow officer, Christopher Miller, who pulled his supervisor to safety after he was shot.
The other officer is a 2.5-year veteran that actually dragged Sergeant Shiflett out of the building, and it was very heroic, and we're going to ensure that he's commended for what he did.
This was a dangerous situation that could have been far worse for our officers, but they showed extreme courage, extreme bravery, and extreme professionalism.
Doctors aren't sure just how long Sergeant Shiflett will be here recovering. Reporting live at Shock Trauma, Kim Dacey, WBAL TV 11 News.
Kim and Jane, thank you. In a statement today, Governor Larry Hogan called the shooting a senseless act of violence, writing in part, "Our hearts are with the victims' loved ones, and we are grateful for the prompt response by law enforcement."